Louder with Crowder Studios, protected exclusively by Walther.
And Betty.
Worldwide now, the coronavirus taking a devastating toll. Confirmed cases now top 300,000. Over 13,000 have died. Elizabeth Palmer is in London tonight tracking the crisis.
It's really going good. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Okay, guys,
that's right. Yeah. Corona babies.
Believe it or not, that's Florida's governor, David P. Alligator. He issued an executive order to see you later, alligator.
Hi, it's Jimmy. I hope you and your friends and your family are as well as can be expected in our new post-apocalyptic world.
I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. You're watching a very special social distancing edition of The Late Show.
What's in my club alone? Such a long quarantine not alone. You can watch other shows from my club. It's a month of everything. Make it out alright.
Hand sanitizer at the door. No toilet paper at the store. Ha, such a long quarantine. Oh damn, I think I'm gonna sneeze. I swear it's just the allergies. Claritin to clear it up, please don't call the police.
Glad to be with you. This is called the I can't really swing my arms for a proper gait for running because my shirt's too small. But you can see it's an XL. So for people who think I deliberately wear short shirts, I find XL shirts that
Joke's
are small.
on you.
That's really it's more preemptive. We have a big show for you today and a big month coming up. So first, let me clarify. We have Daithi DeNogla on the show. Irish gamer, 6 million subscribers. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but hopefully he's okay. And yes, awesome. As you saw there, I noticed all the other late night hosts. Well, first let me introduce everybody. Stu is here. Stu does America.com.
Yes. Is there a specific percentage of Asian I need to be to sit here?
Not so much.
No.
Good question. Honestly, we haven't done a 23andMe on Bill.
No.
But I assume there's like 4% Bulldog.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere down that line. His mom spent a lot of time in the live food markets. Quarter Black Garrett is here. Audio Wade, G. Morgan Jr. How are you? What's one of the day?
I'm doing well. I had to look. It's Peju Cabernet.
It's what?
Peju.
Peju. Peju.
P-E-J-U.
We don't tolerate anti-Semitism on the show.
It's not.
So, I've noticed that the late night hosts, they're all broadcasting from their bathtub, and apparently NBC doesn't have the budget for a lavalier microphone.
Right.
Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Samantha Bee, Trevor Noah, everyone's gone. We've decided there are acceptable risks, unacceptable risks here at Louder with Crowder, and it's going to be hashtag #MugClubQuarantine. If you enter in the promo code quarantine, you'll get $30 off the entire month of April, starting next Monday. Everything that's usually available exclusively at Mug Club, The Blaze, all of this program will be available on YouTube as well as 3 more shows.
Yeah.
Morning drive shows,
Extra.
Good Morning Mug Club.
Extra.
So every night is it 9 p.m. Eastern?
9 p.m.
Monday through Thursday. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern in the morning, 9 p.m. Central. And you guys can live chat. If you are, of course, Mug Club members, you'll be able to chat. We'll be doing giveaways. Nice. I don't think I'll be receiving a relief check because my wife and I have the gall, I believe, to make over $75,000 a year. Joint
How dare you?
household income. But we're still going to give away some money.
Sorry.
And guns, we'll give away a lot of stuff. I have no idea.
Is it wrong that a minute ago when you said Samantha Bee's gone that I got excited?
Yeah, it is wrong. It's wrong that you didn't have something more to say about that was like a punchline. But I was about to turn and ask, is that legal to give away a gun? And I realized it's just Stu.
It's just me.
Yeah, but let's be clear. Half Asian Bill will be here for Mug Club Month. He just he can't be here right now because of lockdown and the SARS.
Of course.
Of course.
Oh, which is what I'm most sad about, that I can't make SARS jokes anymore. That's lapse. Now it has to be coronavirus, and that's more sad than funny. So also, good time this month. Subscribe to Kreider Bits. We're going to have a lot of content going up there on YouTube. Also going up on Apple Podcasts, Android, everywhere. So a lot of content. We know that you guys are kind of quarantined, getting a little stir crazy, and we don't want you to feel like you're alone. Go to loudofkreider.com/schedule, where you can see the schedule for the whole month. We really do appreciate it. Not a doctor, so this is how we can give back. I can't fight fire.
Yeah. No.
When I hear fight fire with fire, I'm like, why not water?
Yeah.
Then it turns out that it's a controlled burn. So it just shows you, don't call me, call the fire department if your house is on fire. And if you have a little bit of a tickle, call an ambulance. If you want to watch some, juvenile jokes, you tune in here.
You know where to go.
Great. Yeah. So we are going to be talking about a whole lot. Daithi DeNogla will be on the show. We'll be talking about how the coronavirus has handed the 2020 election to Donald Trump, which brings me to my question of the day. How do you think it'll affect the 2020 election? Do you think it makes President Trump more likely, less likely to win re-election? And do you think the daily televised press conferences have helped or hurt? Spoiler alert, CNN, Rachel Maddow, and everyone on the left thinks that it actually helps them, so they want to stop broadcasting it. Because freedom. First, all the bad information out there, we do want to do our part, be responsible. You should trust the medical professionals at the CDC.
God's going to put a cancer in the butthole of every sodomite. Every sodomite's butthole will get cancer in the butthole. God's going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. You're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. If you thought that AIDS was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. And there'll be people walking around all over America with flames coming out of their butthole.
First off, they shouldn't be walking around anywhere with the lockdown.
Well, scary.
Stay home if you have flames out of your butthole.
His area of specialty may be proctology.
Yes, it does seem very limited in scope. He doesn't necessarily understand the geographical equation. They'll be walking all over the country. It'll look like a topographical map of flaming buttholes across the land. I don't want to see no topographical map. I don't want to see butthole flames in the Alps. We don't have the Alps. The Appalachian Trail, flaming buttholes is bad. What's the rise, by the way, of self-quarantining? Awesome. It's not that awesome, Gerald.
No, it is.
Also the Sistine Chapel. That
is awesome.
It's amusing / disturbing. And Stu, I apologize. It's a little different from the Glenn Beck show.
No, it's a tad different.
It's just a little tone. So with the rise of the self-quarantining, people live and playing a lot of board games at home. This is the thing people in passing the time. Tom Hanks. Here's one thing. A lot of as a white man, and I don't want to get into the identity politics. It's easy to forget that some folks don't feel represented in board games. So it is nice to see some of the toy companies have been stepping up to be more inclusive.
Rock'em Sock'em Rabbis! Oh boy!
Rock'em Sock'em Rabbis!
Boom! Right in the kipper!
Press the buttons, move the joystick thingies, knock his kipper to the floor!
Right in the puddum!
You're the winner!
He's just like me! Best 2 out of 3? Dad, you're my best friend.
Rock'em Sock'em Rabbis by Milton Bradstein.
Milton Bradstein stepping up to the plate.
They are.
Good for them.
Good
for them.
They do control big board game. By the way, I sent that to my friend Ben Shapiro and Jeremy at the Daily Wire. So I'm like, is this borderline? Jeremy Boring sent me back a GIF laughing his ass off.
There you go.
Not a peep from Ben. So Ben, I apologize. It's easier for me to ask for forgiveness afterwards.
It is.
Yes. It does seem like board games, when you're just handing dice back and forth to each other in a quarantine situation, is not ideal.
Right.
Suboptimal?
Yeah, especially when you have to blow on the dice or rub them on your taint. That's a weird thing. Like, that doesn't make it lucky dice.
It does make it lucky. That does help. Oh, yeah. Do it in Vegas. They can't stop you. The casinos cannot stop you.
Come on, Snake! Lost the nest egg. So finally, fast food chain. Not finally. We have a lot to go. Don't say finally. Wishful thinking. Fast food chain. Chick-fil-A. They've been closing their dining rooms, allowing takeout. and drive-through only delivery orders to combat the spread of coronavirus.
Good job.
So good for them. But not to be outdone, Taco Bell has announced that their tacos will now contain 14% less bat meat.
That's good.
14% less.
But it gives that little taste.
You might think that 14% seems arbitrary. Right. They've done their cost analysis.
They have, yes.
Ratios. They can only afford 14%. In international news, you guys don't do as much international news over there.
No, we do not.
No. It's America first. America first. You stop. Internationally, Prince Charles, he tested positive for the coronavirus, so just can't catch a break.
Tough, yeah.
I think we have this from CNN. As someone over 70, the Duke of Edinburgh is considered to be at higher risk than average for coronavirus. So, see, dogs can be carriers, and I know it seems, it seems like a cheap shot. But I took it.
That's rough.
It is a cheap shot.
Oh, come on. She broke up that whole thing. Princess Diana?
No, I agree.
Put her next to Princess Diana.
See, I've always thought she looked more like a horse. You think a dog.
Yeah.
That was like a dog horse.
I thought she looked like that Afghan breed of dog.
Okay.
But I could see, are we talking like Arabian? Are we talking Clydesdale?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I not a fast horse. I feel like it was a slow horse. So probably Clydesdale area.
Like a retarded horse?
Yeah. Well, wait. No. Yes. More like
slow.
a pack.
Slow. Oh, physically slow.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Do we
just in
find
case we weren't demonetized with flaming buttholes. I wanted to make sure. It's awesome.
Do we find out here if Queen Elizabeth is immortal now? Does that get solved?
I don't know. Is it like the blood of the incestuous keeps you young? Keeps you young but ugly? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I watched Dracula on Netflix.
Terrible.
First 2 episodes were great. Third one, not so much. Despite, by the way, Muhammad's saying that all of your diseases, in the Quran, that all of your diseases will be healed if you go to Medina. The cities of Mecca and Medina are nearly empty right now.
Wow.
So people are not making their pilgrimages. There are no men in Mecca, so you know what that means. It's ladies' night, so get your free punch bowls. Get your beatings on the beach.
The fear in her eyes.
The beautiful fear. That was like nice. You were into that. I like that.
Yeah.
The beautiful look at the fear in her eyes.
The way it should be. That's what he was thinking.
The way it is meant to be.
Must present valid identification 6 and older. By the way, we have...
Oh, come on. That's not a limiting factor.
What, are they going to not sleep with 6-year-olds? What if they want to?
History
I don't know.
proves
How much want do they have? Sorry, you're going to have to, by the way, put your home in a blind trust.
Okay.
It's a fun process.
And we actually have 2 non-coronavirus stories, because I know a lot of you have been burnt out. And to be clear, too, with the Mug Club Quarantine, the month, we're doing some live chat with you guys. We will still do the Thursday show. Tuesday is similar to the Thursday show. But we're doing a lot more conversational shows, live video game streaming. So if it feels a little more relaxed right now, we can't do this 9 times a week.
No.
We can, but I'd kill myself. And then...
Yeah.
Then we could.
Who are you paying?
Then we can.
Quarter Black Garrett? Stu?
Yeah, no, definitely not. You don't want that to happen.
So we do. We have 2 non-coronavirus stories. In China, an army of 100,000 ducks have been recruited to fight off a plague of locusts. So another plague over there. This, according to my favorite news source, the Book of Revelation. Beware the 4 quackmen.
Might be connected.
Yeah.
Wait, obvious question here. Who kills the ducks when this is over? Because now you're gonna need an army of tigers to kill the ducks.
No, they just eat them alive.
They're going to eat them, yeah.
They just eat them alive.
Yeah.
You will hear the whales across the sea.
I feel like you...
Quiet down! You stop! Such a baby.
You said if we got rid of the locusts.
I actually wouldn't feel bad for them. Canadian geese. They're the
scum of the earth. They are the scum of the earth.
They poop and they attack.
That's it. They have 2. That's it. There's only 2 modes. There's poop mode and attack mode.
Have you been? I've been attacked by a Canadian goose 3 times.
Really?
Like, I mean, physical contact 3 times. Yeah.
Really? Well,
that's it.
Who won?
I mean, I just ran away like a pussy. What am I going to do? It's a goose. It's a wild animal.
Yeah, and then somebody's got video of you beating up a defenseless wild animal.
They don't register pain the same way we do.
Yeah.
Right? They peck, we're like, ow, and they're just like, they don't know. They don't care.
No. I have a family story where I was actually bit by a bat as a child.
What?
Whoa. Yes.
So you're the reason.
I'm the reason. Like, I'm Wuhan Stu. That's me. But it's true.
That's going to stick right now.
Yeah, that's it. My parents came out and saw there was a bat, I guess I must have knocked it or something, and it was right next to us, and I had a bite mark on my stomach as a little kid.
What do you mean you guess you might have knocked a bat?
It was before I
They hang up in the ceiling upside down. There's no accidental bat knocking.
Well, they they swooped at me or something.
Okay.
And I used my reflexes, my childlike reflexes.
Yeah.
I was able to knock down the bat. The bat somehow struggled to its feet, walked over, took a bite out of my stomach, and then we have the coronavirus. That's how that happened.
What is this, like the Rocky story? The bat just never goes down?
And the next Trump presser. It came from Stu.
This just in.
Stu, stop with that. That's okay, we'll bleep it. Long week, getting ready for a long month. Another story, hard seltzer brand White Claw have released 3 new flavors, lemon, watermelon, and tangerine. Most excited about this news, drunk pussies.
You don't like the White Claw?
I'm not a fan.
No.
Come on. You like the White Claw?
I'm all in on the White Claw.
Wow.
I don't care. I don't try. I never said I was a masculine guy. I never even tried it.
That's fair.
It was going so well for you, Stu, right up until the last 2 segments. Right up until the last 2.
Really? Because
I think you're doing fine.
Really?
Yeah. Don't take from him.
He's the bad guy, and
don't
now
take
he
it
likes
from him.
White Claw.
He's a drunk.
I can see that.
He's always drunk. He's always drinking wine, but he's for some reason, if you're drunk on wine all the time, you're a connoisseur.
I know.
Right.
Culture. Sorry.
I don't have culture. I don't have manliness. I have none of those things.
I'm an essential worker. Okay, guys.
Are you
I'm
essential?
sorry.
Yeah. How did that work out in Schindler's List?
Is essential.
That was actually that was a scene. That was, by the way, this is no hold on a second. Context.
I'm setting that one to bed.
We know.
Let's keep going, guys.
We know we do film opens. Johnny Boy, my Canadian friend, he said, "Hey, how about you parody this scene?" And it was very essential workers. I'm like, from Schindler's List before they. What are you thinking? Are you out of your mind? Yeah. And then we had this happened this week. That and then I love him dearly, even Brendan. But he said, "Hey, can my family come into the studio to watch the show?" And I said, "What? They're 9 states away." He said, "Well, yeah, but they would plan a vacation." I said, "Well, the tickets are refundable right now." He said, "No, they're driving." I said, "Wait, short of loading up the car to New York on September 12th, 2001, there couldn't be a worse time for travel."
It's a terrible idea.
He said, "Well, they don't really have it there." I'm like, "I know they live in a rural area, but they're staying at the Hacienda Courts and every Valero station and touching the gas pump." I'm like,
Bless their heart.
No. So he's working from home.
He's been sent
Also
away.
known as fired.
Finally, before I do want to hear from you guys if you think that 2020 has changed with the coronavirus. I think this actually has cinched it for Donald Trump. But before we get to that, finally, San Francisco. Obviously, you know that it's been completely shut down. In response to the coronavirus pandemic, residents, they're being ordered complete shelter in place to stay in their homes. It's one of the strictest protocols across the country. San Franciscans, of course, responded with, "But where will we shit?" Now,
It's a
try the corner. The corner's just a byproduct of patriarchy, to be clear.
It really is.
Angles.
People don't talk about that enough. Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
And because of the quarantine, though, this is to San Francisco. There's been a huge uptick, and you should like this, Quarter Black Garrett. We'll be doing in Free Mug Club month.
Really?
Entering the promo code quarantine, $30 off. Everyone gets the student and military pricing. Video games. We'll be video game streaming. They're much more popular now.
Oh,
nice.
In San Francisco. There's been a huge uptick. Some of the titles actually might surprise you, which brings us to this week's 7+1.
You forgot the fan in the chamber!
Just so you know, we are doing 7+1. And Stu, if Glenn fires you, there is no home for you here.
Okay.
There's no
nice.
net.
Not enough seats.
Consider me the tiger to your Fred Flintstone, putting you out of the house.
Oh, okay.
There's no way you're getting it.
From the intro,
But we're going to have you read something. So this is 7+1 of the most popular video games in San Francisco amidst the coronavirus crisis.
There we go.
Number 7 popular game in San Francisco right now is Call of Duty. So that's, that makes...
Oh, geez.
The kids love that one. It's a multiplayer game. Stu, how about you take number 6?
Number 6, Resident Needles.
Yeah, that's a big one. Resident Needles in San Francisco. It's pretty popular. This actually is fun because it's an open world. But it's not without consequences. Number 5, Grand Theft Autoimmune Deficiency, which makes it's just sad. Audio Wade, give us number 4 because I don't want all the liability.
Number 4, Angry Turds.
I see it.
Yeah. That didn't take much work.
No, it did not. But look, you can see it's angry. Look, it's on the Golden Gate Bridge. There's a lot of work put into something so silly.
A lot of detail.
That could have been time put into research. Number 3, popular game in, again, coronavirus quarantine in San Francisco. Number 3, Mortal Kombat Meat. So that, and by the way, Raiden was played by a white guy.
Yep, totally white.
It's true.
Seems to me anytime you put on the rice paddy hat, the general rule is just make sure they're actually Asian.
Yeah.
At least.
They didn't get the memo.
No.
Number 2, Gerald G. Morgan Jr. Number 2.
Final Fantasy 19, the homosexual curfew hour.
Look at that. They never stop with the Final Fantasies.
Nope.
There are so many.
Never final.
And the curfews
so many of them.
really matter. And the number 1 most popular video game in San Francisco right now amidst the Corona quarantine, Metal Gear Solid Stool. So, yeah, Solid Snake. He's going to have a flame coming out of his butthole, hiding behind bushes and buildings and trying not to make sounds, but his butthole will be making all kinds of fiery sounds. To be clear, he's not actually from the CDC. I don't want YouTube to fact check this.
We're going to get fake news.
Oh, and I forgot the one in the chamber. We always figured. And the plus 1 most popular video game title right now in San Francisco, Super Smash Brothers, which really is just a placeholder. So that concludes this week's 7 plus 1.
You forgot the one in the chamber!
Always forget
Every
the
time.
one in the
Yeah.
chamber.
I don't know why.
And we will be reading at some of your live chat next week, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday morning, our first morning show. So you can only do the live chat though at Blaze. We're not doing it on
it's in the
YouTube
morning, right?
because we don't want to give YouTube money.
9 a.m. a.m., not p.m. a.m.
What did I say? PM?
You said p.m.
Well, we're doing PM as well. I'm doing so many
doing
shows.
both. Son of a gun.
So many shows. I can't stop with the shows.
Gotcha.
There's so many shoys.
Frankly,
The best.
Some
the
people,
best shows.
okay, people, they always say, I do too many shows. I say, no, I can do more. But they say you give so much. And I do give so much. So, now I do, I think, what do you think, Stu, before we get into this? Do you think this has helped Donald Trump or hurt Donald Trump?
Well, it's still yet to be seen, right? If this turns into zombie apocalypse, it's probably not going to get elected. But
Maybe nobody.
If he can come to the point where he looks competent through this, especially if this thing bounces back, he's going to have some smooth sailing ahead of him.
Yeah. I think it's going to go pretty well. I think this actually has already cinched the deal. Let me kind of make some points as to why, and you guys can let me know where you think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You can let me know, as you very often do. The media's been trying to claim that he's been terrible at his job, okay? But Donald Trump's overall approval rating, and by the way, this is where polls matter, not like when Bernie Sanders says, look at Venezuela, they prefer their health care. So they do in Cuba,
it's a different deal.
but they die. So they prefer it up until the moment where, they die. So that's, and by the way, we'll be talking with DeNogla, who had an operation on his testicles. Scrotum and testicles operation. Unbagged his groceries. They put him back.
Yeah.
One thing that I love, though, don't you love that right now stores have said don't use reusable bags because they transmit disease? It's like, for a sec. It's almost like that's why we had plastic bags and straws, you moron.
I love how all that stuff just goes right out the window and it's a serious thing.
Who doesn't want a straw right now?
Weren't we not told that the whole environment was the biggest threat?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Biggest, huge,
It's an existential threat.
As soon as something else happens, they all abandon it.
Right.
Yeah.
But also the same sort of Eddie Haskell's is still China. When it comes to climate change, it's still China. And now when it comes to viruses, it's still China. Debt,
pattern.
China.
Here.
A lot of it. I mean, I don't want to vilify an entire nation of people, but China's a horrible place. So, not the people, but the government. Again, let's be really clear. I hope that those people are liberated eventually from this government. Now, it's a shame to me that the media is carrying the water for the Chinese propagandist government. You want to know who's not a fan of Jake Tapper? All the Chinese who don't work for the government. Yeah. So this is where polls matter, because Donald Trump, amidst a crisis, and this is kind of important because you see this quite a bit historically, it's a good indicator, 60% of Americans actually approve of his response to coronavirus. His recent approval rating with Gallup risen from 44 to 49%.
Yep.
Wow.
Right. Who do Americans rate the worst right now, by the way? The fake lying news media. That's what they rate as the worst aspect of American culture. Second worst is late night hosts broadcasting from their bathroom without a lavalier mic. That's up there. I don't know.
Not expensive.
We get it. We get it. It's raw. It's organic, Samantha Bee and Jimmy Kimmel. But can't you just take a portion of the $12 million salary and just get a rogue mic?
You were wearing a suit in a bathtub, so do that.
It's unreal to me. This is also, by the way, why they want to lean on YouTube. Right, Vox, NBC, Universal, they realize they can't compete when they start putting this content. No one wants to watch Seth Meyers in his hallway.
Not more than once at the very least.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Well,
God, I hope Lily Singh gets quarantined. Yeah,
because Trump's approval rating for Democrats just overall is 13%. Right, it's super low. He got 29% approval from Democrats on his handling of coronavirus.
Wow,
over twice the amount of Democrats approve of his handling than just generally like him. That's huge. That's a big number.
I wonder why that is.
How much do you think of this is just rallying around the president in a crisis? Any
Oh, God. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think that because the media has been attacking him nonstop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could say maybe people just are tired of seeing someone getting, pummeled by the bullying media at some point and fighting back. It would be different, for example, with Barack Obama, and there was obviously the recession, or right after 9/11. At least people didn't have such mistrust for the media. Whereas at this point, they're very open in their attacks on him. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. You guys let us know. But I do have some other points that I think will hopefully build the case that hopefully that's not the case. Here's a point. Okay, so travel bans. To answer your question, Stu, I don't know that President Trump has done a whole lot differently than any other president would. I think there's a limited amount of control that you have. The CDC doesn't really have anything necessarily to do with Trump. They sort of operate independently. And we didn't have the right information from China. The World Health Organization did not declare it a crisis or a pandemic until March 12th. So to be clear, I know everyone's trying to score political points. I can't say that Donald Trump has done everything right or differently than another president. But Johnny Boy, who had the horrible idea of the Schindler's List parody, had a very good point here. I do know one thing that President Trump has specifically done differently than all other leaders, and that's his travel ban from China.
It was big.
Donald Trump banned it early. They didn't do that elsewhere they didn't do it with the same vigor, you should say. And we can compare that directly with his competitor in a general election, Joe Dementia Biden, who claimed that the travel ban was xenophobic. So this is remarkable to me. Even if everything else from President Trump were terrible, it was absolutely, let's say he handled everything as poorly as can be, he's still not as bad as Joe Biden. It is a miracle. They put up someone in the general. If I'm Donald Trump and I go into this general election, there's a debate with Joe Biden, right? And he says, it wasn't enough of a response. I just coach Donald Trump, say, all right, let it fly. Well, listen, I put the ban on travel from China. You said it was racist. So when would you have put travel restrictions on China, Joe? And he won't be able to answer, probably crap himself, and forget where he is for a little bit.
Can you imagine? He's back-to-back competitors so far are going to be Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, like the two weakest people to put up against anyone.
Yeah, well, especially though on the coronavirus. In other words, he has no leg to stand on what will be the hot button issue here.
Absolutely.
If it were just some random recession or something that happened, they could try and attribute it to policy, right?
Right.
But with this, it's clear as day. Donald Trump did something proactive. You accused him of racism. And by the way, Biden was just following lockstep with the media. They claimed that it was nonsensical, an emotional reaction. This is from Vox, New York Times. They also said that we shouldn't really worry about the coronavirus, that it was less than the flu, but now they try to act like that's just a right-wing talking point.
We got it from you.
Wasn't it one of Italy's virologists? He said when responding to the outbreak that the fear of the political fallout from enacting a travel ban made the pandemic much worse in Italy. This is what he said. Now, the American media was saying, no, don't listen to that guy who works in Italian government. It has nothing to do with open borders.
Yeah, exactly. And the entire EU was pissed because Donald Trump said, we're handling this better than the EU. We actually put a travel ban in before the EU. And Italy's like, well, we put our travel ban in for four days earlier and it didn't help us. So now they're all pissed off about that. And it's like, actually, this works. This does help stop. It didn't help you, but it is helping everybody else.
Italy only put a travel ban in from China. They didn't do it. The rest of the borders were effectively open. So we are at a point where political correctness could quite literally be killing people. LGBTQAI and people died. That's the point here. Hands up, don't shoot. This is an actual thing. You don't ban travel from China where the virus originates, people will die.
And you go back to our definition of political correctness is different than the original, right? The original is from Marxist states where, and this is very specific, where the Chinese government, they decided the politically correct thing for doctors to do is deny that there was a virus. So this is legitimately, this entire thing is actually an extension of political correctness.
Right. And it's dangerous. It's not without consequences. People think I'm being nice because I'm not offending people. And we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, Joe.
We talked about this too, going back to your point in the EU. It's great that we have a defensible border right now. It's great that we have a border that we can control to some degree. The EU wishes they had that right now. Because people can just come in and go wherever they want. Like you said, a travel ban is only effective if it's everybody coming to your country from China, period.
And it's not the only thing. There's been obviously a multifaceted approach from President Donald Trump, but this is one thing that you can say is singularly unique in comparison to whether it's Biden or Bernie, but it seems like the candidate will obviously be Biden unless, they don't have enough smelling salts. But the point is, I think that's a stark contrast. And by the way, can we just say, Joe Biden is really unwell. He is not doing well at all. This week, he had a series of disastrous media appearances. First, I think we have the one with a failed teleprompter on a live stream. Watch, it's sad.
Beef up the number of responders dealing with these crush of cases. And in addition to that, we have to.
And boom
make
goes
sure
the dynamite.
That, we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing.
It's sad.
The president must use the Defense Production Act.
Yeah, there is no second thing.
Sir.
Let me go to the second thing. Joe, what's the second thing? Third thing. Three things. There are three more than one or two.
The other one.
Why'd I stop?
I like the hand motion there. It looks like he's checking someone for testicular cancer.
And cough?
Very roughly.
Cough. What? Huh? What'd he say? Huh? What? I'm fine.
What kind of a piece of shit do you have to be to keep putting him out there in that condition?
I know. It's really.
Seriously. I'm asking seriously. It's not a punchline.
No, someone needs to, you just need to have someone waving it off. Like, stop, enough.
Yeah.
Wave off the fight.
Oh,
then after this, what were we going to say?
What?
Never mind. All right, okay.
Why'd
He
you
went on. I'm so confused because Joe Biden makes me stupider.
He's infectious.
Having watched him, that's the virus we should be most concerned about is the Bidenitis.
Yeah, it looks like, in Rocky, I think it was Rocky 4, right? Apollo Creed is in there fighting Ivan Drago.
Oh, yeah.
And Rocky's there. He's got the towel, and he's going to throw in the towel, and he doesn't throw it in. It costs Apollo his life. Right. That's what, his family needs to be there with the towel and throw the towel. Yeah. It's over for Joe.
And it's very fitting because Putin will kill him.
That's true.
Putin will break him.
Yeah. The symbolism is everywhere.
Yeah.
They won't do the fist bump, though, because 6 feet. We understand that. So he then went on The View, and the responses, they were not at all coherent.
In Hot Topics, we talked about Trump saying the government would reassess the recommended period for keeping businesses shut and people at home. Are you at all concerned, as Trump said, that we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself?
We have to take care of the cure. That will make the problem worse no matter what.
We have to take care of the cure. No, and this, I don't want to be that guy that got you. In his defense, he didn't misspeak.
On Thursday doesn't even start, it's Friday, I'm in love.
See, I get it all confused. I thought he was taking care of the Smiths.
Yeah. Right. They're almost interchangeable.
Perhaps Joy Division. Just very sad. Full month of it coming your way. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, I agree with you. They need to throw in the towel. So let's get back to coronavirus, because that's what we care about right now. The Democrats obviously have been blocking, the relief bill. We've been talking about this stimulus bill. They blocked the bill from the GOP
so frustrating.
Early on with, I think, was it 1,400 pages? This bill, do we know how many pages in it? It keeps changing by the day.
They came with.
You have to pass it.
Yeah.
And then you can
before you can read it.
Well,
Yeah, that's
their
true.
counter,
Again.
I think, had 1,400 pages, and it contained all sorts of ridiculous crap that had nothing to do with the coronavirus.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've
nothing
heard of
at
this.
all.
If you haven't, there's $35 million in funding for the JFK Performing Arts Center, $90 million for an HIV program, $300 million for migration and refugee assistance, Green New Deals, these style requirements for carbon emissions. Listen, over 3.2 million Americans just filed for unemployment, okay?
Yeah.
And the Democrats are demanding $300 million for illegal immigrants and refugees?
Yeah.
And the Democrats, you wonder why the heartland doesn't think that you have their best interest at heart, because a nutless monkey would be more effective at putting America first.
Right. And one of the things in the bill here that just came out, Ted Cruz was talking about this, I think yesterday, saying you just raised unemployment benefits from around $11 an hour, which is not enough money for you to sit at home and just collect a paycheck, to $27-ish per hour. Yeah. That's what they raised it to, about $1,100, just over $1,000 a week.
Right.
You can make around $48,000 a year sitting and doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Amazing. And you're giving them terrible incentives here.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I know.
And you look at this, and this is just basically, today, 3.2 million unemployed. It's like a trailer for the movie of a Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden presidency.
Right, of course.
Like we're all seeing a preview of it today. It's not fun.
Yet when people say, oh, this proves that we need a socialized healthcare program. Really? How'd the CDC do?
Yeah, exactly.
How did they work it out? How did it go in Italy? Where right now, if you're over 60, you don't get a ventilator because they're just rationing. They're like, well, listen, you're on your own.
Yeah. In a capitalist country, we have other companies jump on board.
Why are we getting testing kits and more? We're getting more testing kits because of private labs stepping up. We talked about that with Dr. Cho. We're getting more masks. Actually, Origin, Jocko Willing, one of us, they're going to be sending us some masks. They're making masks right now. 3M, is it Hanes, Honeywell? The private sector has stepped up, and they are the ones who are helping Americans. fixing the CDC's crap hole.
Yeah, because the CDC is the closest thing we have to a single-payer program here.
Right.
And South Korea, who's getting all the praise, they just embraced the free market faster.
Right.
Their government made a decision to go to the the private market and has worked.
They did that, and they also kind of doxed their citizens, so that wasn't a
Oh, yeah. No, that was
that's
a minor part of the story.
I mean, if you're willing to just have Apple hand over your geotagging and post it for public to avoid Stephen, well, there you go. And we can do the South Korea thing. Also, if we're just a monolith racially, because it's different. People respond to diseases a little bit differently. It's more predictable. Not saying it because, Asians, saying it because it is not nearly as diverse as the United States, and it's tough to control a virus. We have a different, all different kinds of ages. We probably have more genders in South Korea now. I'm sure about that. Come on.
They're still on 2.
Does anyone here know how a pansexual, on a molecular biology level, how they respond to the coronavirus?
A pansexual on a pandemic.
I would pay a nickel to see that cellular symbiosis in a petri dish. The point is, I trust Joe Biden's teleprompter more than I trust the DNC looking out for the United States right now. There are a lot of things that I trust more than the DNC, namely all of them. Here's another thing. This was a big deal, and it may seem inconsequential. But I think, to go back to your point, I think this is why Americans think that Donald Trump is doing a better job handling this. And if it were just in a vacuum, Donald Trump, we approve or rallying around the leader, that wouldn't explain the distrust of the media. That tells me there's a conflict. That tells me that to most Americans, including Democrats, there's kind of a hero and a villain here. And a big part of that was, of course, if you haven't been following, I don't know, you have the Chinese virus controversy.
We continue our relentless effort to defeat the Chinese virus.
Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. As you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen. Not as long as I'm president. It comes from China. Seeing some important developments in our war against the Chinese virus.
I love the pause in China.
China. C-H-I-N-A.
China.
China.
If you're going to fix a problem, you need to speak truth.
Yes.
You need to. You can't be obfuscated behind this this political correctness, and you have to speak truth in what it is. It came from China. That's where it originated from.
Yes, it matters. Why is Trump saying Chinese virus valuable? It's not just because it offends all the right people, but for the same reason that instituting a travel ban from China was valuable. For the same reason that Trump's brass pendulous sack in comparisons to Biden's shriveled, demented raisinets is valuable. Trump, he's not allowing political correctness to dictate policy best for Americans. Also, I'll tell you why Chinese virus is important. And you see this a lot with all of these, and you see it even in the Christian community, in the left community, the virtue signaling community, like we should be nice. No. You know why Chinese virus is important? Because a communist regime who tried to blame this virus on our American troops doesn't get to rewrite history. By the way, sign up for Mug Club this month. The promo code is quarantine. We're giving away everything plus 3 morning shows. $69. You get $30 off. Hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube and you are not subscribed yet, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot.
Not at all.
And also Crowder Bits, subscribe. And hey, look, Stu's drinking from his mug. Quick, go to him. See, he can't talk.
He turned it around.
That's embarrassing. To go back to the point of the media, this is something that's really important to me. I don't know how more clearly we could see the media overreach right now. When they start blaming Donald Trump for people eating koi pond cleaner. When I saw the story, I was like, no, they're not going to jump on this. There's no way that they lack the self-awareness to blame Donald Trump for simpletons, for mongoloids drinking koi pond cleaner. And then they do.
I love it. It shows who they are. We've had a hard time getting people to sometimes understand on the left that, hey, look, the media is really biased. Like you're living in that bubble, apparently. This is showing very clearly, like, we're not making this up. We're not just saying that Trump's always right. He's not. When he's wrong, we have to call him out, right? We have to hold him to account. But look what they're doing. Some lady murdered her husband, essentially, in some ploy to we thought I had chloroquine in it or whatever it was. Like, and they covered it as Trump. Chloroquine, whatever. Chlorophyll.
What? Clozapam? Is that wine bottle? Did you recork that? I know you have that because you're
doing
you have
that. My Bill.
I have no. Were you about to say there's something in quarterback here?
No, I was itching my head.
Oh, you were itching your head. Okay. It's a nice head. Let me just give you a rapid fire recap as to all of the dishonesties here. So, Something you probably heard: Trump disbanded the pandemic unit there at the CD, was it CDC or the White House? I don't know. They didn't say NHS.
Yeah.
Actually, he just condensed it with other units so that the expertise could be pooled. It was actually a decision to make government more effective and efficient, not
How dare
less.
he?
They tried to say that Trump cut CDC funding, reducing the outreach from 49 countries to 10, including cutting their work in China. The truth is, it wasn't a direct cut. It was a depletion of previously allocated funds, and the CDC got that money from elsewhere, so it's a wash. Who cares? And the media tried to say that Trump, of course, called the coronavirus a hoax. No, what he said was that Democrats pinning the blame on his administration was a hoax. And of course, don't forget the fish tank cleaner, but we all understand that one. That one's really stupid. It's fun to address, but I don't want to go over it. Here's the deal. After years of the anti-Trump, the Russian collusion, the Ukraine's quid pro quo, can the general public, how can they trust the media at all? If you've never heard them say one good thing about President Trump, and now they're saying that he's handling the outbreak poorly, when in fact it was the New York Times, the media, who downplayed it. We just, well, but hold on, but you said there were prostitutes peeing on the Formica. Everything that you've said is incorrect. Why would they trust you now?
Right.
What do you think? Do you still think it's rallying behind Trump?
I do think that. Well, I think this is a good case here. I mean, and you see this occasionally from media members when they actually will acknowledge something. The Daily, that New York Times podcast, which is basically 30 minutes of them destroying Trump every day in their minds.
No, I don't listen to it.
Yeah,
Not with my compromised immune system.
That's true. Be safe. Be safe.
I'm susceptible to ear aids.
They had Maggie Haberman on, who was kind of flipped and flopped.
Jake Gyllenhaal's ugly sister?
Yes, exactly.
And every time she shows up on the big screen, I make an audible.
I think that's everybody.
Sorry, I interrupted.
So she admitted, she said, you know what? Early on in this situation, Trump banned flights from China. He was called racist. He was called xenophobic. And it turned out that it was a good move. And it was a big move at the time. Yeah. Now, they wrap that in 30 minutes of criticism. But at least if they will acknowledge basic truths, it'll at least give us a chance to understand and listen to the criticism. Right. They're so unwilling because they're so obsessed with this guy that they normally won't even give him a point to his favor no matter what happens. Right.
Yeah. I think it's a real problem. And by the way, this is something, too. They complained about the Republican bill. We've heard about this go back and forth all week. We'll talk about it more next week. Like the morning show, we'll be watching CNN and live fact-checking. So it'll be a little different guests. It'll be more like a podcast, radio show, less late nighty, I guess. So we'll be able to talk more in depth about the bill. But initially, the left's complained that the Republican bill would allow hospitals, this was a big thing, that they would allow elective procedures to be put on hold to make room for corona patients. That included abortions, right? So here's the deal. Both sides have accused the other side of playing politics with this bill. You're trying to fit this in, and you're trying to earmark this. And okay, all right. And let's assume that is true, because it is true. Both sides are trying to play a little bit of political football right now. They're trying to shoehorn their crap in. All right, let's assume all of that is true. What would be more relevant to a bill exclusively designed to curb the coronavirus and hopefully its economic ripple effect and devastation, helping hospitals alleviate their workload by holding all non-essential procedures like abortions, putting it on hold, or as the Democrats tried to shove into their bill, diversity quotas for corporate boards. Getting hospitals masks, respirators, or making sure that there's a newbie on retainer as an advisor at Dell. And I think we do have to go to DeNogla here. This is something that's really important too. Some people are trying to make this case for socialism. I think if you actually observe this objectively, you have to take this as a case against centralized government, because the private sector has stepped up and tried to fix a quagmire that was created by government, regardless of who's in office. But it also shows us that, you know what? There is a finite amount of resources with government. It's ironic to me that the left, they think, well, this person has more, and so I want to take it. They don't understand that capitalism, free enterprise, is not a zero-sum game. No. It's not just a piece of the pie. You can bake more pies. You know what is a fixed pie? Government. There's only so much money they can take, especially if everybody is unemployed for indefinitely, right? There's a limited amount of resources. So let's take into account the idea that the government, they've had this Russia hoax investigation going on. How many tens of millions, when you add that up, and hundreds of millions, I don't know, billions, I don't have the numbers in front of me, the impeachment sham going on. And the CDC, how about this CDC? Instead of researching gender pronouns and gun control statistics, you do your job. That way, people won't take a steaming crap on you as an emblem of systematic corruption and bureaucracy in government, looking to the private sector for help. There's a fixed amount of resources in the government. Seems like maybe we should be a little more prudent in where we use our resources so that we're not caught flat-footed with our pants down again. All right, this guy, the Irish guy, DeNogla, Donata, don't mention, that's Spanish. It's Donata.
las madrugadas frescas de Colombia. No hay nada más rico que una taza de café llena de Black Rifle Coffee con un cigarro. No es por ti, amigo.
Go to blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder. Use promo code Crowder for 20% off your first purchase.
blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder. Use a promo code Crowder. You get 20% off your first order. And you know what? A lot of sponsors have been dropping out right now because of the economic downturn, and we understand that, but not Black Rifle. They continue to support this show. And sponsors like them and Walther are the reason that we can provide Mug Club, do the Mug Club Quarantine Month for free for everyone right now while you guys are getting stir crazy. So it's blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder. Use a promo code Crowder. If you drink coffee, theirs is legitimately better. And they have the Testiklausen to sponsor the show. Look, that bag is tough. Oh, did I break it?
You know what you can do with them dishes. And if you ain't man enough to do it for yourself, I'd be happy to oblige.
You know what you can do with your copyright strikes? And if you ain't man enough to do it yourself, I'd be happy to oblige.
Everybody's tweeting at me.
I really would.
Going on their shows and saying all kind of things, but I don't mind. From where I am, the sun is shining. Here to entertain.
Watch this and more at our other channel, Crowder Bits.
Anyone who don't like it can get boned.
All right, our next guest, I'm very glad to have him on, and he's moved heaven and earth.
He is
to be on the show.
It's true.
Because those are the names of his right and left testicle. Now, people think that's not just being dirty for the sake of it. He actually had a procedure, but we'll talk about that's not the lead.
Yeah.
The lead is actually he's one of the most popular gamers on all of the YouTube, as Joe Biden refers to it.
The tubes,
or also what? So, and he doesn't want to give me his full name because he thinks I'll mispronounce it. So you can search just DeNogla on YouTube, but I'm going to try it anyway. Mr. Daithi DeNogla. Was that even close? Thank you for being on the show. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Am I not needed? Also, by the way, he also was from an earlier Guy Ritchie film, just in case you may speak to confirm.
Lock, stock, yeah.
Wait, Guy Ritchie? What?
You sound like a character from Snatch was what I was getting at. Because references.
Right. A good movie. Good movie.
It is a good movie. Film. I love that film. So how do I say it? It's Gaelic, right?
Yeah, Daithi DeNogla.
Oh, wow. Well, so this is why I didn't say it before. I was like, was it Daithi? Is it Daithi? You knew I wasn't even close.
Just wanted to make you look.
You just wanted me to embarrass myself.
No, I told you not to say the first part. The second part's okay. Nogla's, that's all right, you know?
Yeah, but still, you heard me say Daithi, and you could have said, don't say it because you'll sound like an idiot. But instead, you reverse psychologied me because you know I'm an idiot.
That's a good job.
I don't think
if you want to look into it like that, sure.
Okay, I will. Well, good. So, listen, so right now, if I'm not mistaken, and people, again, you can follow him, just type in DeNogla. He's on Twitter. He's on YouTube. Does a lot of video gaming, which we'll talk about more on the web extended because Mug Club Quarantine this whole month. We'll be doing some live video game streaming. You're stateside right now, correct?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Okay, and so you're already so familiar with it that you use the abbreviations. What brings you to What brings you to Los Angeles? And are you stranded? Can you not get home now?
Well, I wasn't planning to go home, so I'm fine. I'm fine being here.
Okay.
But no, I've been traveling back and forth from Ireland to LA. I live in Ireland, and I travel to LA frequently.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for about a few years now.
Now, what are you doing in Los Angeles? Because you do the gaming thing. It seems like you could do that from anywhere.
Yeah, I do the same thing. But I might meet more people that are within the industry, do deals, and stuff, network, yada yada, all that.
Right.
All that boring business jazz.
Well, hopefully when you do the deals, you don't say it that way. Like, I thought we'd do a deal, yada yada, stuff.
That's how it works, though.
So how long are you planning on staying here? You've been on the show before, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, it was like 2 years I was on the show or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was in Ireland at the time. No, I hope to go back to Ireland, I don't know, within 2 months.
Okay. And that's seeming, It's maybe likely, but right now, I mean, it's got to be
a coin flip.
Yes, exactly. It is a coin flip. Well, actually, I think it was the Irish authorities. For people who don't know, they tracked the first case of the coronavirus Wu flu from a man who was traveling. Was it northern Italy? And then I think yes,
and he came into Dublin, and then he went up to Northern Ireland, and then he left again or something like that, and he was the first person in Ireland to get it.
Yes, and then I read somewhere in the Irish press that they were saying Donald Trump is blaming the EU for needing to add Ireland to the U.S. travel ban, which doesn't seem. Have you been following this?
I haven't followed that specific part, but I've seen stuff in news and social media and whatnot, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert.
No, well, none of us are experts. We're not doctors or microbiologists. You play video games and I tell jokes. But you still have family, of course, in Ireland, I would imagine.
Yeah. My 2 dogs there as well, but they're taken care of. They're okay.
Well, they're not carriers, so that's good.
No, but dogs can get it, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, a dog died from coronavirus.
Oh my gosh!
Pretty sad.
Now,
I don't know why I'm laughing.
Sounds like a BuzzFeed.
Now
article.
PETA will care.
I don't believe it.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, they. How would you say they've been reacting there in Ireland versus stateside? Have you been in communication with your family? Is there a big difference?
Yeah, no, I messaged them. I think it's about the same. My mother bought me a giant fridge and stuffed it full of food.
Right.
And freezer, just stuffed it full of food pretty early on. But I actually flew out to America first week of March, and then it was pretty much 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later you couldn't fly.
Right.
It was 4 weeks after, or not 4 weeks, but about 6 weeks, 4 weeks after the surgery. So I got really lucky with how everything panned out to get to LA, because I have my a girlfriend here, so I don't want to be across the country for indefinite period of time.
Right. Plus, you got to put a ring on it if you want that visa. Or get
exactly. Sneaky. I already have a visa. I tell her I don't need you for the visa. It's not like 90 Day Fiance and I'm just with you for the green card.
Right. Yeah.
I actually already have a visa to be here.
Yeah.
But
so you reverse psychology to her as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at psychology.
He's pretty good at it. It's the Irish forte. Well, I guess sort of because some people stateside too have been getting this wrong, and I spent some time in Ireland. I don't have much interest in going elsewhere in Europe at this point because I've had official complaints with Twitter. What is it? China, Pakistan. Was it
you broke a lot of laws.
Somewhere in the UK for drawing Muhammad? For people here who don't necessarily understand, because obviously Italy, we've talked about this, they didn't close their borders for a long time. Sometimes people don't realize that the United States, it's bigger than a lot of areas when we're talking about the UK, right? Or even if you include the UK, I'm trying to think of even surrounding countries. The United States alone is bigger, and so we don't think of how important those borders kind of are when they are different countries in a continent like Europe. Right. Is this something that you think might, for example, have ramifications for Brexit now because people over there understand that they need to be able to kind of seal things up in a pandemic?
Personally, I think humans are fairly slow to change, so I think it'll have very little impact politically in terms of how people perceive borders. They'll probably just boil it down to something else. Right. You know what I mean? They'll find something else that makes them not think of a change that's necessary for future.
Right.
Ideally, because it's so long getting through borders anyway these days.
Right. In Europe,
lines and whatnot.
How long? So what is it like? I've only done, I've done customs going obviously to Ireland, but having been raised in Canada, I would go through the Canadian-United States borders, and sometimes it could be kind of lengthy. One time I got in trouble because I bought a pair of shorts from Old Navy, American flag shorts, and I didn't claim it, and I was put in a back room for a while. But what is it like in Europe going through borders right now?
It's fairly simple. It's fairly simple. It's a bit awkward going into a country that they don't really speak your language or anything like that. So, but it's when you're explaining why you're there. But usually, it's just I'm on a holiday, and they're like, "Yeah, come on in."
Well, that doesn't sound like a crack security squad.
No, but you do have to line up and talk to somebody and stuff like that. But the ones that I would say are tougher are American immigration, because you have to they have one in Shannon, and then they have one, if you don't fly from Shannon to US, you have to meet the immigration in the US.
Yeah.
And they can be, some of them can be real hard asses. And like, if they don't understand what you're saying and I have to explain like my YouTube job, like they're like,
plus with your accent,
what are you talking about?
With your accent, Americans just assume you're drunk. Like, I got an alcoholic in TSA line 4.
Well, I'd be waking up tired as well, going off the 6 a.m. flights. So yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I got my visa, they pretty much got very relaxed about about it, because like this visa was pretty much like, this guy's safe, everything like that. But before the visa, when I was traveling on an ESTA, they were really like hard ass about it, and like sometimes I was like standing there like, might be going home here.
Right. That used to happen with my mama. You know, my mama used to make this joke. She's French-Canadian. So we would go through the border just north of Plattsburgh in a place called Champlain. People out there, if you know from upstate New York, you know what I'm talking about, let me know. There's nothing there. That's how cool the United States was to Canadians. I don't know if you felt this way when you came to the States, but we would go to the States for like Taco Bell and Gap and things like that. And we would always go through to Plattsburgh, and my mom would get nervous. And my mom when my mom has a tendency, she's French Canadian, when she gets nervous, to make other people nervous. And so they would say,
that's just mom nervous.
No. I've met other moms, they're amateurs. With my mom, my dad would go through, they'd say, okay, and citizens, and my dad would say, all 3 American citizens and 1 alien. And my mom would go, beep, beep, and hold up her card like this, and they'd say, I don't like you at all. And the French-Canadian accent sounds like a cartoon character to a lot of people. It doesn't sound like a real accent. So she was constantly questioned. I've got to, now, here's one thing I do want to ask you, because you had surgery, then you were traveling. A lot of people don't know this because they weren't necessarily traveling, certainly not internationally. It wasn't declared a pandemic, I think, until March 12th. So you traveled before that. Were you
like
really
10 days before that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, 8 days before.
And were you really scared? Because I remember I traveled not long before it either, and it really wasn't even in the air. People act like we all knew. We certainly didn't when I was traveling domestically. Were you afraid, or was it just kind of off the radar?
Well, I was definitely more cautious than normal. So, you know, brought hand sanitizer, wipes.
Right.
Even then, they were pretty much sold out in Ireland back early March.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, my mother stocked up on that as well.
Good.
The mothers.
Yeah.
But, so, and thankfully, in my second flight, on the first flight, I was a seat away from someone else. And so that was good. And then my second flight, my long flight, I was in the back right corner. And I couldn't even see anyone from where I was sitting. And so basically, I was never really near anyone.
Right.
And so I think that made it easier on my mind.
Yeah.
There was no one coughing right next to me, basically.
Right. Well, I imagine it made it easier on your mind. And then which brings me to my next point. How are your balls? So for people who don't know, you had a recent surgery. To quote you in your video, you said they I hope I'm not blowing the lid off, because you did speak about it publicly on YouTube.
No, go ahead.
They unbagged your groceries, you said.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's what you said, I think, in your video.
I know. I'm just complimenting myself.
Okay, thank you very much. There you go. What was the procedure exactly?
So it was a hydrocele repair.
Ugh.
It's fairly rare. Like, one of you guys could have it and you wouldn't even know it.
What?
But,
what?
Huh? Not yet.
We're concerned with other health issues right now. I'm just learning to wash my hands properly. I have to sing happy birthday twice.
I have to start checking my balls, dude. Wash your hands and wash your balls.
Yeah, but I don't sing. I don't sing happy birthday when I wash my balls. I sing "Call on Me" from Chicago, the techno remix, because it seems appropriate.
Extended. It's like 8 minutes long.
I don't want to imagine that, so we're going to move on here.
Yeah. You already are, so I've served my purpose.
Yeah. But, it's hydrocele repair. Basically, there's like this little kind of tube that goes down into your testes. And then around that tube, there's like this skin thing. And above that, there's like, your groin. I'm imagining it now, the grafts.
Yeah.
And then basically imagine like something like just hole opened up. They don't even know how it happens. They think it's inflammation, trauma. They don't actually know. And then imagine like a small drip of liquid just coming down through that for like several years.
Oh,
so like for me, it's weird having balls that are normal sized because I don't remember when they were normal. Like,
so you were just bragging to everyone, like, I've got the biggest balls you've ever seen, and they're like, you might want to get that checked out.
Anymore. No, I've got normal balls. Apparently, they were normal like 5 years ago. Because one time when I was going up the stairs, you have like boxers that are, a bit showy on the sides. I was going up the stairs and my brother was saying goodnight to me or something like that, and he looked up and saw my balls, and he said he remembers that forever. He told me they were normal then. All right? So
you got a nice pair of normal balls there.
It's about 5 years of fluid building up, and it was about the size of it was a pair on the left side. The right one was fine. It was just shoved out. It was like if you're sitting next to a fat person in a cinema. So, but the left side.
In this scenario, are your balls the fat person?
No, yes, my left testicle was the fat person. The right one was a normal person.
Okay, all right. So the left ball is Kevin Smith, and the right ball is whoever is unfortunate enough to sit next to Kevin Smith. I'm trapped.
And so the left one was about the size of a pear, and then I was like, okay. When I went back down, and I got checked out and stuff like that. Then they put some fluid on it, did ultrasound. They're like, yeah, that's a hydrocele. Checked me in for surgery. I got it actually really quick. I paid for private. I paid out of cash.
Oh, you didn't go with the universal healthcare there in Ireland?
No. My dad has been on a waiting list, I think, for about 2 years for some surgery or something like that.
For his balls too? Are his balls okay? Your dad's balls are okay.
I haven't seen him, don't know, but it's something else. It's something else with him.
Okay.
It's like a reoccurring. I think it might be ulcers or whatever, but or kidney stones or something like that.
2 years for kidney stones? Because my mom in Canada was a year and I think it was a year and 3 months, or it might have been 14 months and some change for an MRI when she ruptured a disc in her lower back. And Americans can't believe that when I say it, but it sounds like it's pretty comparable in Ireland for a lot of these things.
Well, I think it's 2 years because I remember being at the kitchen table with him, and I was like, hey, let me pay for your your operation. You can get it done probably in a few weeks or something like that. Just pay through private.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, like it's fine,
No. So I thought there'd be more justification there.
No, he's like, I pay my taxes, and they said they're going to do this, so I'm going to make them do it.
Right.
So like he's kind of like they work for me mentality.
In 2 years, they're going to hear from me in 2 years. They'll never hear the end of it.
Year and a half, I'd say.
Well,
I wouldn't. I goes, Dad, have they contacted you back? And they're like, no, they said they'd do it, and they gave me a letter saying they'd do it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what he got.
How long has that been the case in Ireland? Because when I was raised in Canada, we weren't allowed to have any privatized insurance, and then they opened it up because they declared it, actually, there was a Supreme Court case, declared it a violation of human rights because people were willing to pay for care, right, in these scenarios, and they said, you can't tell someone who's in agonizing pain or life-threatening condition that they can't pay for their own health care. So did that change more recently?
No, in Ireland you can pay private, no problem.
Okay.
Like my brother, he got jaw surgery a good while back, good few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I advised him to go private, but he decided to wait on public, and he was waiting nearly a year and didn't get anything.
Gosh.
So I was like, just get private, man, and he got private, and he got it, I don't know, within a few months or whatever,
Yeah. Well, if you're stateside now, you can, if you're paying private anyway in Ireland, then you can probably just get a plan here in the United States if you're here and get in and out pretty quickly. I mean, I think we had a number, was it Bernie Sanders versus the UK, those heart stints he got.
Right,
he got them in 3 hours here. It would have been really like 50-something days if he was there in the UK. I don't know exactly Ireland, on an individual.
America's pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah.
America's pretty quick for stuff like walk-in clinics and stuff like that, and they're very flexible.
Yeah.
But back to my surgery. So, back to my balls.
I was trying to veer away from the balls. All right. You got one more minute, then we'll continue the ball talk on Web Extended, because then I want you to go full tilt. But continue. Wrap up the balls.
So basically the surgery is they make about a 3-4 inch incision, and they take out your whole sac. One side. Yeah. Then they drain it. I had an infection, so the tissue was pretty thick down there, and they had to cut like the tissue, and then they wrapped it, they put it back in. But the tissue gets wrapped around the ball and then tucked in, so you'll always have like a meatier ball than the other one.
That's got to be rough being a streamer.
That's the speed. That's
right?
the speed run result.
Yeah,
and then afterwards, I'm going to keep talking here. I need a vent.
Okay, go ahead and vent. Go ahead and vent, but just sit in the beanbag if you need to.
Yeah, just let me go. Just let me fly out here. I got extreme constipation, which is the worst pain I've ever had in my life, while having a surgery near the groin area. It was horrible. And then I didn't say this in my video, so this is a little special. I actually went to poop once, farted, and only blood came out, and turned out I had a hemorrhoid that burst on the inside. So I was
like a shark, only with blood.
That was all within the first week of recovering.
Gosh.
So it was pretty brutal.
Gosh.
Or not, it was fine.
That doesn't sound fine. There are a lot of things that I would describe as fine. Bloody stool after having a ball wrapped in mummy cloth is not chief amongst them. Doesn't sound fine. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay. It must be hard to sit, though. Like, do you have to switch chairs?
Right now, it's fine. Right now, it's totally fine. But for a good 4 weeks, sitting was just even standing, the blood would flow down to the area, and then you'd get all the sensations back, and you could feel the inside of your testicle and like little stabby needles. You know, what's that thing that they put needles on people? You know, as like
acupuncture.
Yeah, it's like acupuncture in your nut. That's how I would describe it.
And you can't get you can't get them on your balls in the States. It's against the toweling laws. And I found that one out. Apparently, it's not part of the spa package. Okay, so it is Nogla. I won't try and get it wrong, but it's spelled DAITHI. DeNogla is the YouTube channel.
DAITHI.
I did DAITHI. What did I say?
I think you missed the I there.
I don't know. I'm a little distracted talking about bloody balls. We're going to go to Web Extended again. Remember, everyone, next week starts Monday morning.
Yes.
We'll be doing some video game streaming as well in the Mug Club quarantine month. Web Extended coming right up. Stay with us. Hey, from Mug Club, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Till you drop hip-hop, bebop doesn't mean that they don't love hip-hop, bebop, bop. Dance till you drop hip-hop, bebop.
I have a shipment coming in, but I just really want this cigar. Like, I want to go smoking yo back at my office.
Love hip-hop, bebop, bop. Dance till you drop hip-hop, bebop.
Come on! We got a show, right? Hey, let's go!
Why did
The Young Turd.
So what happened? I thought we were talking about facts.
Turds who give you the facts.
One other fact that I wanted to share with you is about,
So many facts.
Reader's Digest in the 1970s made a point to really sensationalize the notion of the...
So informed you won't need to fact check.
That's really bad for business.
Real talk, middle-aged turds. Find the Aging Turds live weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Watch them before they die.
That's called The Gentleman Died Smoking His Pipe Underwater.
I like that.
It's classy. He effectively waterboarded himself through his meerschaum. And this isn't a meerschaum pipe, so people I know will be fact-checked on that. Just stop. We do have an extended interview, by the way, with the Daithi DeNogla.
Yes.
I'm not going to get it right.
DeNogla.
I'm not. There's no chance.
Mr. Nogla.
And I'm going to be honest. I understood maybe 20% of what he said.
Yeah, that's true. Just being generous.
And in the web extended interview, he talks about which video games will be streaming in the Mug Club. So again, the promo code is quarantine. If you join up at louderscrowder.com/mugclub, you'll get $30 off. And the hashtag is mugclubquarantine all month. Go to louderscrowder.com/schedule. Starting next Monday, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at 10 a.m. Eastern, right?
In the morning.
In the morning. Live morning show. Chat with people on Mug Club. And then, of course, the full evening show and clips and meet segments. And listen, we really appreciate how much you guys have supported us. And this is not something that occurred without deliberation.
Right.
We were sitting here going like, man, well, okay, what are the risks if someone here gets the corona?
Yeah.
Or swine flu. That could come back.
You never know.
We never know. We have a half Asian there all the time. There's a 50-50 shot that we end up with some upper respiratory disease or virus. And I'm not a doctor. I don't fully understand the difference. I know that one is bacteria and one is viral.
Yeah. That's why you just blanket. You be safe.
You just try and play it safe.
Yeah.
And let us know, what it is that you're most looking forward to. By the way, we'll be live streaming one of these days. Jean-Guy Tremblay will be live streaming video games. I think playing Call of Duty with DeNogla. So we'll see how that works out. And what are you most looking forward to here this month?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited about the glut of content. Like I think that it's more content than ever. I think, and also for Mug Club members, they'll have more access to you. They'll be able to ask as many questions as they. I did say axe.
Did you say axe?
For the
That's
record.
my word.
That's okay.
Axe,
What
excuse
are you trying out for the NBA?
Just appropriate.
You have a mixtape dropping soon?
I do. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, there you go.
DatPiff.com.
Well, him with his hat.
Yeah, so I think.
Hey, do you ever think that maybe coronavirus will take out everyone who shops at Lids?
I think about it all the time.
Yeah. Not that would be good, but it'd just be like, it'd be a byproduct.
I gotta go to the doctor.
Yeah. So I think the morning show is going to be so much fun. I think less structured. Will be live fact checking CNN. Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited about people seeing a lot of other shows that we do all the time.
Yeah.
That they don't see because they're not.
I think a lot of people don't realize that there's like 80% more content every week.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Blaze and Mug Club, and Stu has a show at Blaze. There are all kinds of people there who have. You don't have to like every show. I don't like every show, but that's the beauty of pairing up and having a network.
Relaxed. We have a lot of fun over there, and it's cool to be able to give that to people that aren't in the Mug Club, and they can kind of see what that's
and a
like.
big thing too, I will say, it just aggravates me so much when I look at as a kid, if I was homesick, I remember for a while I'd watch the funniest thing I could find on TV, and Morton Short had Morton Short. I'm doing from you, Morton Short. Morton hosted a show, and you know what? A daytime show is hard. So I'd watch Martin Short. I would try and watch. At one point, there was a show with like Danny Bonaducci was opposing The View, and I mean, it's not you don't have a tough act to follow, but anything that was funnier. And then if I was sick, at night I would always want to watch Letterman when I was young, and then like Conan. And the fact that these late night hosts are just taking this time off and broadcasting from their webcams.
This is their moment to shine.
And you know what? If anyone had a moment for an excuse to just do a webcam, and it would be the people who started online. This was started in my den.
Right, yeah.
Hopper was effectively a producer when I was broadcasting from my den. But instead, I understand this is where people talk about connection, and they think that somehow they're serving you with connection. Jimmy Kimmel, because he's talking into his webcam, like, oh, he's just like us. No, they're not. And you see how terrible, honestly, the content, the writing is. Like, I want this also to lift the veil a little bit for you. People can do Photoshops from home. People can shoot sketches from home. Now, we don't have 140-something employees like they do. We have it, I think right now we have 8 in the office. Yeah. It's 12, then we have 3 remote. It's down to 8 just to protect some people who can work from home. There's no excuse for people to not be, especially because it's considered an essential service. Media.
Yeah.
You need to know that people are, that you're being swindled. And we're going to do everything we can to try and correct that.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see a lot of like the live stream chats. That's going to be
chats.
cool. Be able to interact with you guys while we're doing the show. It's gonna be cool.
And programming wise, I mean, we've got like Ash Wednesday, which is more conversational. We've got Mass Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't know, we'll actually talk about issues that relate to theology or kind of culture at large. In the morning show, we'll be fact checking live. We'll have guests on here, and of course, some of the stuff that we used to do on the radio show. It's a little more free flow. We'll try a whole lot of new things. And you're probably not going to like all of it. I know I won't. And one thing I want to say, this is not something. You know, it's not like the Taylor Swift when she wins her, 29th award. Like, oh my God, what?
I didn't know.
Yeah, she's grabbing her face like
So
she's the abominable
surprised.
snowman after Yukon Cornelius removed his teeth.
Yeah.
That's what I see. It's just disingenuous.
Yeah.
I am really grateful. And I will say one thing. When I released the kind of cell phone video talking about this Mug Club quarantine month, a lot of people commented, and it's not lost on me, hey, don't overdo it because we know you had a scare with your health before when you were overworking. And that is true. That has happened before. But we've taken all of that into account here, and I think we're going to be able to do it pretty well. I've told everyone here that I am going to be as regimented. Doing 2 shows a day is not easy.
Right.
Radio is typically like 3 hours of prep for every hour of radio. I would say with this show, probably 6 hours of prep at least for every single hour, and then not to mention how many dozens of hours in pre-production. So I've told everyone, I've got to treat this like an athlete. I've got to eat right, sleep right, be disciplined, because I'll have to be up at 4:30 in the morning making sure that we get everything fact-checked, making sure that we get all of our sources together before we do a morning show, which is fine for me because, ironically, for late night hosts, I'm a morning person.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I'm a morning person. I don't
Very
like the
early morning.
evenings. I find them sad. So,
very, very sad.
So I'm and it will be as much of a blessing, I think, for everyone here to be able to, because some of us are feeling isolated. Like, our policy is we are only allowed in the office and home and quarantine and limiting social contact. Not that we think any of us are going to necessarily die from the coronavirus, but we all have parents, we all have grandparents, and we want to be responsible, especially at this point, err on the side of caution. So we are a little bit cooped up in being able to have this direct contact and communication with you guys, especially people who seem to actually care, which is remarkable to me. Sometimes people will bring something up and I'll see it, or someone will send it to me from the comments section. It could be about something that has to do with Hopper. It could be something that I said in a show. Someone's listening to an archive from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's not the case with every single host. I don't think that Jimmy Kimmel, that Stephen Colbert, that Samantha Bee will ever know what that is like. And that's because they haven't been on this journey with you. It's kind of like the difference between having a dog since they're a puppy, or you get to see them grow up. We came up in this together. Yeah. To give you context, I've been doing YouTube videos since 2006, started doing political stuff in 2009. It was a Fox News, PJ TV. When we started doing this show, a full-length show, was syndicated on radio, the first couple of shows had 4,000 plays. To the point where I remember saying, well, you know what, maybe we'll just create Mug Club at this point. Maybe we'll just create it and we'll just put it behind the paywall, because I don't think that a long-form show is ever going to work on YouTube.
Right.
Nobody wants to see this. And then it got to 12,000. And well, maybe we have some. And then 20-something thousand. And then millions of people each month. It is something that legitimately started from the ground up. It cannot. A lot of criticisms of this show valid, okay? Most of them. I will be chief amongst the criticizers. But the critics, is criticizers a word? I think it's also a word, but it's a redundant word. There's no need.
Give it
Critics.
To you.
But not a valid criticism is that it's AstroTurf. And that's not because of us, that's because of you. You have decided and dictated how this content moves forward, and we want this month to be an opportunity for us all to do that, to see what it is that you like, to connect with you guys. Maybe you want us to do more long-form interviews. Maybe you like us doing the live streaming video games. We don't know how it's going to end up or where we will be at the end of this month, but we are so grateful that we get to do it with you, that hopefully we serve you. Hopefully this is helpful to you if you're cooped up at home, and that at the end of this month, we'll still be there with you, even though everyone else phoned it in. So thank you so much. Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. The great experiment begins. Hashtag Mug Club Quarantine. And please, thumbs up and leave something in the comments section right now. Let people know about it, because we only survive, I know, like PBS, viewers like you. And then $75 billion or $75 million in federal funding. We don't get that. So it really is just viewers like you. Next week. See you Monday.